All right. Good morning, Alan. Thanks a ton for coming on with us. For those of you watching this or listening to this, if you're listening to the podcast edition, we're talking today about how to use video to truly thrive during an economic downturn. Because, obviously with COVID going on the last 6 months, a lot of people's businesses have been really struggling. A lot of people have been laid off. But Alan and I have managed to use video to weather the storm, and not only just weather the storm, but also thrive and grow during these difficult times. So first, we'll talk to Alan a little bit about how his company in an industry that is really depressed right now has managed to thrive. But then he'll even ask me some questions as well in the end about my job search, because I was recently job searching and used video to have really good outcomes in a really short amount of time. So I guess we'll go ahead and hop right into it. Good morning, Alan. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thanks a lot for having me. I hope you're having a good morning as well.
Oh yeah, well, so far so good, but the kiddos haven't woken up yet. So once
Yeah,
they wake up, all hell breaks loose.
that's the best time. You wake up early. I mean, time goes so slow when you're the only one awake.
Oh yeah. I can get as much done in 2 hours from 6 to 8 as I get from 8 to noon.
Of course, of course. Yep.
All right. So I guess first off, just for some context, kind of explain what industry you're in, and then kind of move into talking about how COVID has affected your industry at large.
Sure. So I work in the manufacturing industry. I work for a company called Phillips Precision.
How has the manufacturing industry in general been affected by COVID?
It's kind of a multi-layered question. Because manufacturing is such a widespread, I mean, everything is manufactured and everything. And when something like happens like COVID, depending on what type of manufacturing you're doing or how you're doing it, or what kind of relationships you have with within your industry or within your market, is kind of how COVID affected you. So I have some of our biggest OEMs and dealers, some of our biggest partners, they got heavily furloughed, layoffs. Some of them are still in, we're not even really sure what the future is going to be with some of those guys, mostly because they're the big OEMs that are selling the big machines. So where there's companies that are unsure of the future, they're kind of holding tight to their pocketbooks and not opening the checkbook. And so they're not, buying these big capital equipment purchases that they typically would have been. So many people did get furloughed. And then on the same token, our boots on the ground sales force, on the product line side of things, we have sales reps and distributors that are out there working out of their cars, and they go from factory to factory to talk to people and show people stuff. And when these facilities shut down and weren't allowing visitors to come from the outside in, a lot of those guys were kind of like sitting ducks. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't do their jobs at all. So,
Yeah.
And then the, on the other hand, I'm sorry for the pause. I was just checking my notes. On the other hand, some companies that, especially like in the medical space, that were making manifolds for these ventilators and stuff like that, they blew up overnight. They couldn't make parts fast enough, and they were hiring on people, emergency hires and temp agencies blowing up and getting some of these facilities filled. And then some manufacturers that were making, not so essential stuff, it dried up and they died. So it's really kind of a multifaceted industry of what COVID did. Some companies blew up, some companies died. Fortunately for us, we stay pretty lean, and we're in the machine shop. We do some medical contracts, so we weren't really affected. We still had our strong team here. A few people in the offices were working from home and stuff like that, so we didn't see a huge downturn. But a few other local companies that we deal with and I've spoke with, they claim they saw probably about a 25% drop. And what that more or less was, in some cases, was kind of like their shop overflow, kind of the overload in their shop. So they had temp workers, temp agencies filling those positions. So when it dropped down, their core workforce and their core employees were still up and running and are still probably even running even stronger now, because the whole situation has forced them to look within their processes and figure out better ways to get more out of their facilities and more out of their equipment, rather than trying to just expand by bringing in more bodies and opening the doors to outside exposure, if you will. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
And how have you guys been doing during COVID?
We've been doing pretty good. Like I said, on the product design, the product line sales, things kind of stayed steady because we have an e-commerce site, which really helped us out. But as far as like the stuff coming in from distributors and things like that, that obviously slowed down quite a bit. But all in all, we did good, and it really kind of shined a nice light on us, because many of these old school distributors that, and a lot of manufacturing is marketing like 1985, and a lot of the sales are, built off of relationships you have rather than the need to, to go find something better, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that dropped off on that side, but because of our e-commerce site, things stayed afloat and for us. We've been using videos for a long time, so it really positioned us well to this, because everybody already kind of knew what to expect from us.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you mentioned you've been using videos for a long time. I guess kind of take people back, at least the last year or so. How have you been using video in the world of manufacturing?
Well, to start off with, our website has always been filled with short product demo videos, which are great for people to immediately see what the product is, how it can help them. It's a niche market when you're talking about metrology fixturing. Not many people even know what that is, but the people that do, even if you try to describe to them what our modular system does versus a one-piece system that, that manufacturing saw and used for years, they still may not always understand it. But as soon as they go to the website and they see this 7-second quick little video of it happening, they immediately see and they understand. And that's all you need. You just show them that 7-second video, and it clicks in their brain of what the system does and how it can benefit them. And so we've worked hard to make sure that it was very robust on our website, and we have videos up there. Recently put our podcast up there and everything too, to help educate the industry on, just kind of open the rabbit hole, if you will. So people listen and they say, oh, that's an interesting pain point that they're bringing up in all of this education that a lot of people may have never thought of before. Just kind of by human nature, there's always a better way out there, but until you need that better thing, need it now, taking the time and the effort and the investment to break away from your normal routine to go that route may not be feasible for you. Yeah. And then if all of a sudden now you get this idea and now you have to go that way, you have no choice. Almost. That's kind of what COVID did, I think. A lot of this technology was already there, and we were using it here for videos on our website for years, but now the last year and a half using BombBomb, we were using services like BombBomb for our emails and sending out videos that included the, sales follow-ups and lead nurturing, but also product demonstration videos. And if somebody called me with a question, I could grab a part and just say, oh yeah, this is our edge finder right here. This is how it works. This is what it does. And really show them the parts, and they can have that visual right in an email like that, rather than having to go back and forth or read a mile-long novel of a description of this thing. And it really helped out quite a bit. We saw a huge improvement in our sales, huge improvement in how fast we were closing sales. And I think that without that, we would have been hurting, because our boots on the ground sales force was pretty much stopped dead in their tracks. So it really helped us out quite a bit. And then again, I also reach out to my distributors all the time and tell them, hey, if you were with a customer and they have a question, and you are, if they're new to the line or anything, it's great information for you and education for you, but also for your customers, let me know. We'll hop on a Zoom meeting. I'll give a demo to you and your customer right from my office or right from my metrology lab, and answer all the questions that they have. And then you're there too, and you'll learn everything going on, and it'll just help you be better in the future too. So a lot of guys that were kind of reluctant to using the new technology, some of these older folks that now all of a sudden they're like forced into it by COVID, because they have no choice. Otherwise they could never talk to a customer. We're finally starting to come around and, calling me up and asking me if we could do these things and take the initiative on it.
Yeah. So website videos, one thing I heard. Sounds like using Zoom, for helping the distributors in their sales.
Demos and things, yeah.
Yeah, video, email communication through the service BombBomb to get videos in front of people as part of the sales process. Did you use videos in any of like your ongoing customer relationships at all, or was it just for like winning business?
Yeah, no, all the time. Every time a customer reaches out to me, if I could just answer back in a quick, like, no problem, cool, thanks. I'm not going to send a video unless it's necessary, unless I feel like sending a video and showing my, a big smile with a thumbs up, thanks. Sometimes you have to do that, but for the any little, piddly emails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You won't have to send an email video, but definitely I use emails or videos through, my Outlook account for work with the little clown nose up there, pop it up, and especially for, first introductions and follow-ups and things like that, phone call follow-ups and things. But then I also have automation set up too. So any new leads that come up, I send them an introduction video personally from myself, but then they get dropped into an automation where they get emails for like the next year from me. Like every other month, they just get a touch base email from me, and it's an evergreen, but it sounds very personal, and it's usually just turning them on to a cool industry publication article or a cool video that I saw on YouTube and thought that it would be neat to share with the world that's, related to the industry. Just random things like that. Turn them onto the podcast in one of them, or, just kind of quick value filled touch base. I thought this was neat. I thought I'd share with you kind of email just to follow up with people, new leads, and as well as old customers and stuff too. And then customers get dropped into an automation too, where they get an automatic follow up for training and try to get the, to come back for any training with me via Zoom. And then also just follow-ups to see how they're doing. If they are willing to give me any testimonials, if they have any questions about the product, follow up with them like a year later. But that's all done with automation, which is awesome,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So this communication you do with customers using video, is this something you just do because, it's your style and you like communicating that way? Or is there some real business case for it and benefit to the business from using video with customers?
Well, we've definitely seen a huge improvement since we started doing it. So on the business side, it's definitely there. But I do it also because I enjoy it. I definitely do. I enjoy doing it. I always thought it was a cool way to reach people. Even before I started using BombBomb, I always was trying to figure out a way to finagle a video into an email because it was just the best. I thought would have been the best way to do it, and probably is. And it was just maybe my mind was just kind of beyond the times, or in my local space, I hadn't branched out far enough, but my mind was already there. And it's funny because when I read Rehumanize Your Business, a lot of the stuff that they talked about in there, I had been doing already for years, like putting a link to a YouTube inside of a image in the email and have them click and it would bring them to the video. Like I did that for like the last 3 years, just working, anyways. It was really cool to kind of see that. I was like, wow, I feel like I'm revolutionary.
Yeah, right. Cool.
But
so for someone out there who's a little more skeptical, or maybe who doesn't really like the idea of video and really needs to see the value, can you describe kind of the more tangible business benefits you've gotten from using video?
Well, last year, a year after we started using it, so we're a year and a half now but for year over year, last fall, we had grown our sales 55% year over year. So I don't know if that's tangible enough for anybody, but it's some serious sales increase. And that was not from distributors because, no offense to them, they do great. I love all my distributors. They do wonderful for us. But a lot of it was from direct sales. And I would say that at one point I had 100% close rate.
Wow.
By using video. And I'm in a little bit of a different situation than a lot of other people, though, because manufacturing has never seen anything like this before. Electronic marketing and things like that is still very new within the manufacturing space. We saw some serious business increase. It's a great way to just build relationships faster. You get a lot of people that are willing to respond to you because there's a video. And if not, and even if they're not ready to buy right now, they still remember you because they saw your face and you sent them a video and they never saw anything like that or had anybody do that for them before.
So that's how you've been using video, even before the downturn, to build a brand, build relationships, so that when the downturn came, you were still the go-to for people. People thought of you. You already had the, infrastructure in place to handle more of a remote business model, your e-commerce store, your website, all those things were already in place. And again, you also had the relationships, right? Strengthen these videos.
People kind of expected. They already knew what to expect from us, so with a downturn like this, it was nice. It actually got us to where I think we started actually seeing more response to a lot of emails because people were quarantined. People were forced to stay in their offices or forced to work from home. They couldn't go out into the field or out of their offices like before. So they saw more emails before they got buried. They were able to open more emails. So we did see a bigger response because of that, so it, and again, people that were already watching the videos and seeing our content, they already were expecting that. So we didn't really have to do much different when COVID came. Nothing really on our end changed. I think I was sending out a lot more videos to my distributors saying, hey, let's get on Zoom and get some training done, while we can. But other than that, as far as sales go, and the podcast stayed the same. All of our monthly sales e-blast stayed the same. Everything, nothing really changed, but we saw an increase in response because people were at their desks more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. So that is how to use video as a business to weather a downturn. Next, I guess we'll kind of switch and kind of talk about me, right? Because I had to weather downtown as an employee. I unexpectedly lost my job in August. So that'll, I guess, be the second half of this.
Yeah. So I remember you, remember when you first were telling me about it, and I was almost a little bit shocked. But then, like I said, I think that, based on what your roles were and what you were doing, I think that you were very limited in where you were at before. So I think you're it's always a blessing in disguise. It seems like this horrible thing happened, but maybe some chains got released from you in the process of that. So, but how long did it take you to find a new job?
So I found out I lost my job on Thursday. I think it was, I don't know, middle of August, whatever Thursday that will be. And then I had a job offer from another company the following Thursday. So it was exactly a week between getting the word that I lost my job to having a job offer from another company. And truthfully, a much, much better job offer, right, than what I'd had before. So I not just found a job, but it was actually an upgrade in positions in a week's time, which again, under normal circumstances is a blessing and incredible. But during COVID, because I'm in sales, right, and the sales industry right now during COVID is rough. Like I know salespeople who've been laid off for 6 months and still haven't found.
Yeah, right.
But video was a big part of that.
That's good. I mean, I know obviously we're using videos before this all happened, but how were you using videos before this that led up to this point in your life where you got let go? And
yeah, I mean, as much as I wish I could, claim credit and say I'm just so amazing, I was able to land a job in 7 days, like just off of the efforts during those 7 days. Truthfully, the way I phrased it at the time was my job search started a year and a half previous. Because I had been posting video content regularly on LinkedIn for about a year and a half at that point. And I think, probably about 5,000 people in my network at that point who had been used to seeing video content from me on a regular basis, twice a week, sometimes and do it every day, that my video content be going out there. Because when you're posting just, typical typed up content on LinkedIn, it can still be effective. But what I've noticed happens a lot, all the time, is I will read through someone's typed out post and think, man, this is really cool. I really like this. 5 minutes later, I want to go back and find the post again. And I have no idea who posted it. So I can't find this post again because when I'm just reading out words and I see someone's name in a little thumbnail, my brain doesn't remember that. Or sometimes I'll see a post and be like, wow, this is really incredible. And then maybe later on, or a few seconds later, sometimes a few minutes later, I realize, oh, wait a minute. That's actually the same person. I think I've seen their content before. But again, it's really hard for me to connect those dots. Whereas when you watch a video of somebody on LinkedIn, you may not remember their name, but you're always going to remember who they are. And the next time you see a video of them in your feed, you're going to remember that past video you saw, right? You're not going to watch a video of me and then go, hey, wait a minute, I may have seen a video of this guy before. No, you're going to know instantly, I've seen that guy before. Again, you may not always remember the name, but it helps build the familiarity. But I think it also helps build a real emotional connection there. One thing I've noticed is that my posts tend to get more like comments and heartfelt comments and meaningful comments and like real true quality engagement than people who have twice the network that I have, right? Twice the number of connections that I have, but just do typed out posts. They'll get piles of likes and a couple little words, but it seems like with all the video content that I do, the connection I have with people in my LinkedIn network is a lot stronger, right? Than you would think it would be. And that really, showed itself in this job search because, I posted Friday morning, hey guys, I just unexpectedly lost my job. I'm in a tight spot right now. And I didn't even necessarily ask for any help, but people saw that video and my goodness, people just came out of the woodwork saying, hey, I've been watching your videos for years now and I really want to help you out. And like some people were just coming out with words of encouragement, which I really needed at the time because I was feeling so down. Some people came out and said, hey, let me help you get some exposure. Like I had multiple people say, hey, you want to come on like my LinkedIn live show or my podcast or something so that I can get you some exposure. A lot of people just made direct introductions for me saying, hey, this company's hiring, you should talk to them. But without even asking for it, the moment my network knew I needed a job, people just came flooding out to support and help me. Mm-hmm. So it was using video for a year and a half publicly on LinkedIn that I think built the most support. But I also used video kind of on a more one-to-one basis on LinkedIn too, right? Where there was a lot of people who I truly consider friends who I like texted their cell phone number when I got fired that I met through LinkedIn. And it was personalized video messages through like DMs that did it, right? So I'll connect with someone on LinkedIn. I'll notice something in their profile I find interesting, something they said makes me think I might get along with them. And I'll send them a personalized video message and we get a conversation started. And between video messages and voice messages, it gets to the point where I feel like this person is as much a friend as anyone. Again, hence, texting people at 10 o'clock at night on their personal numbers who I met through LinkedIn. Again, when you're using these videos as your way to communicate through LinkedIn, it doesn't become this like standard, stiff, small talk, formal stuff. It very quickly becomes a deeper, more personal relationship. Mm-hmm. So that I have people who I've never met before that when I text them at 10 o'clock saying I got fired, text me back saying, hey, let me make a few introductions for you. Like that level of relationship. And again, that was kind of the work I was building for, at least a year and a half before I got fired.
Of course. Yeah, I think that's what LinkedIn is all about. I think you definitely LinkedIn. So have you ever read the Startup of You?
No.
The Startup of You was written by of course, I'm going to put myself on the spot on this one. He is the co-founder of LinkedIn, nonetheless. Okay. And once I see his name, I'll say, of course. But either way, it's called The Startup of You. And it is basically a rundown of what LinkedIn is and how to network and how to grow your network with or without LinkedIn, but how obviously LinkedIn makes it that much more powerful. And it's actually crazy to me that you have mastered the art of LinkedIn without reading this book. And honestly, you should check it out. It'll be one of those big epiphany moments, like I was saying about Rehumanize Your Business. Yeah. You read it's like, oh wow, I was doing that forever. Oh wow, that was really great. You'll probably find the same thing if you ever read this book. It's a good one. Cool. So you're using, obviously using LinkedIn and using videos and growing these relationships for years, prior to all this. But then you got let go, and then did you change up what you were doing for videos? Did you do anything to try to attract job offers or, set yourself apart? Anything, did anything change? How were you using videos during the job search?
So a lot changed. And I would say one of the biggest things that allowed it to change was I suddenly found myself with time, right? I'm the type of person who has a ton of ideas, but when you're working a full-time job, you're limited in what you can pull off. Mm-hmm. Now I suddenly had unexpected, extra 40, 50 hours a week to play with. So I was able to do a lot more video production, content production, because basically the way I saw it was, I'm talented in the areas of sales and marketing. And I used to do, sales and marketing related work for someone else. Now I'm not doing that work. So now my full-time job is sales and marketing of a new product being myself, right?
Right.
So I very much took everything I learned in a sales marketing job for a software company, applied it to my own job search, right? So there's really, I kind of broke it into 3 buckets, right? One was true marketing, right? Mass appeal, trying to just raise awareness and raise interest in this product I was selling myself. Second was using it for like outbounding, like very specific targeted type of outreach to people who I thought I might want to work for. And the third was kind of using it during the sales process, which of course meant during the interview process, right? Just as a way to communicate throughout the interview so that once I landed the interview and went from interview 1 to 2 to 3, I had the best chance possible of actually landing that job. So again, it felt very much the same as what I did before with marketing a software product, cold outreach to sell a software product, and then using, video throughout the sales process to sell a software product. Just now the product was myself.
Mm-hmm.
but I had time. So I pretty much said, okay, my now full-time job. And I didn't change my routine at all, right? I kept getting up at the same time every day, taking my shower, eating my breakfast, sitting down at my desk, probably about 7 o'clock in the morning, ready to go, and working till 5 o'clock in the evening. It's just now, again, I was working as a freelance marketing consultant for
Yep.
myself,
Yep.
paying
Yep.
myself to market myself is what I was doing. So, for me, the idea was, all right, I want to raise awareness of my job search in a way that people actually care about, right? I believe that, in the world of marketing, you have to make people glad that they engage with your marketing material. If you just have some banner ad or video ad about, hey, we have a sale going on, people don't really care. So that the trick of marketing is how to take the thing you want people to know and how to make them care and how to make them glad they engaged and actually interested in wanting to know more. So I had to ask myself the question, how do I make people care about my job search and my availability, right? So I did this a couple of different ways, but basically the idea was every single day I was going to make a post, and I was going to make the post about something people would find valuable or interesting and then tie my job search to it. So for example, I would say, hey, do you know something I've learned about email marketing for over the last few years? Here's this cool thing I learned about email marketing. I hope this helps you. Oh, and by the way, if you wish your team was better at email marketing, there's a way to make your team better at email marketing to hire me onto your team because I'm available for a job search right now. Right? So that type of an approach of, hey, let me teach you this thing that makes you go, oh, that's cool. And let me say, hey, by the way, I'm available for hire. So it provided value to my network, but it also kind of highlighted my expertise. And it made people aware of how smart I was and how talented I was and how ambitious I was and how creative I was. And it kind of brought my best attributes into the spotlight. But again, in a way that wasn't about me bragging, it was about me instructing, me teaching. But again, I always mention at the end of each video, by the way, I'm available for hire, right? So that's part of what I did. And that's kind of what I started with the first couple of days because that was easy. But I also realized that there was other people out there who were also in the same position I was. And I thought, well, what the heck? Why can't we, help each other out? So what I started doing is I would find other people who were also job hunting, and particularly people who had fairly unique creative approaches to job hunting. And I did little mini interviews with them through Zoom, similar to what we're doing now, but quick little, 5 to 10 minute interviews. And we would basically just share our best job hunting tips with each other. And they'd say, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I'd say, hey, this is what I'm doing. And we would take that content and share it out to both of our LinkedIn pages. Again, it's providing value to anyone else connected to us on LinkedIn who's job hunting. But it also brings into the spotlight, these two guys are job hunting, because that's what the whole thing was about. And it also kind of shows us in our best light, right? It's us sharing advice. It's us sharing our creativity. It's us sharing our ambition. It's also a very unique type of content people aren't used to seeing that makes people go, huh, that's really cool. And I kept doing these interviews, right? I did some other interviews with people where we didn't really talk about job searching advice, but I found other people who had been fired like I had. And we actually just got really raw and vulnerable and talked about what that feels like to be fired, how that messes with your sense of self and your psyche and your confidence, and how to bounce back from that and move forward. Again, that's really valuable for everyone on LinkedIn who struggled with any sort of setback in life, to hear people being open and vulnerable and talking about that. So we were providing value. We were making people interested. But it's impossible to listen to that interview and not be painfully aware of the fact that I'm job hunting because my house was just fired a week ago, right? So I just found ways to make people care, right? And make people interested in hearing about my job search. But I tried to do it in ways that kind of brought me into the best light and showcased my best attributes. So that was the marketing side of things, was LinkedIn content. And I did that every single day. And I'm pretty sure every single day somebody DM'd me saying, hey, either I'm hiring, let's talk, or hey, this company over here is hiring, you should reach out to them. Again, people who I consider total strangers were reaching out to me saying, hey, I saw your content, I want to help. You should try this. Let me introduce you to my boss. So every day I was getting these fresh, warm referrals from this marketing aspect of what I was doing. I did do some cold outreach too, right? Where I specifically said that company would be a great company to work for. Let me send them a video message, explain my situation, explaining why I'm interested in their company and seeing if there's interest there, right? And I certainly didn't get everyone to respond, but I guess I don't know what a normal response rate is. But typically, if I had a list of 10 companies and I would send them a video email saying, hey, I want to talk, I could get 6 to 8 of them to respond back and say, okay, yeah, let's talk. Mm-hmm. So that was a big part of it. That was kind of the direct, cold calling approach. But again, it's a cold video email that I sent out to companies. Again, a quick little video explaining who I was and why I thought it might be a good fit. And then I also used video throughout the sales process. So before I had an interview with a company, if I really thought it was going to be a good opportunity, I would send a video in advance and say, hey, thanks so much for agreeing to meet with me. Looking forward to it tomorrow. I'm going to be coming prepared, kind of talk about some of these things. And here's just a bit of context about me so you can understand this conversation better. So that by the time they met with me, we already had some of that connection, some of that rapport built up. I had already differentiated myself from other candidates they might be talking to, right? I already gotten their attention. Something else I did is after the interview, I would send a video message saying, hey, thanks so much for meeting. I found it really interesting what I learned about A, B, and C at this company. In fact, I would love to learn a little bit more for these reasons. And actually, it's kind of interesting. The job that I ended up landing, where they gave me the job offer, a week after I got fired, I did that, right? And I kind of expressed, and honestly, it was truly genuine. I had such a great conversation with the guy, and I was so happy to know him. I literally said in my video, hey, I don't know if this employment thing will work out or not, but I'm really glad to have met you. I find you really fascinating. The work that you're doing is super interesting. I'm glad to know about, the company, Tube Science. And again, I was just really genuine and authentic. And I sent them to him as a follow-up video after the interview. And he was like, wow, this is really impressive. And then they sent me through a couple other rounds of interviews with some of their executives, right? I did those a few days later. And again, very similar thing. After each interview with each of the executives, I sent them a video email saying, thanks so much for meeting. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. I found this very interesting. And again, kind of same message, whether or not we end up working together, I'm happy to have known you. It was a great conversation. And again, I find out afterwards that really, really impressed them. Yeah. Marketing myself with video, selling myself with video, doing follow-ups with video. And then again, just using video for years to build that network and that relationship, all kind of cumulatively work together to the point where I was able to get a better job offer 7 days after being fired from my previous job.
And it's the perfect story to explain why we do what we do. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe not why. I mean, we do what we do because we enjoy it. We're passionate about it. We love it. It's the value that we bring to the world. But look what it did for you.
Yeah.
Look what, you know what I mean? And we brought up the marketing part of it. That kind of strikes a chord with me, because I try to get people to, especially friends of mine or other people that I know that are trying to build their careers or trying to, get themselves in the next level of their career, or, out of just a job, if you will. Mm-hmm. I tell them, like what you said, where you hit the ground running, hit the pavement, like you were marketing and selling something, but the product is now yourself.
Yeah.
The way I try to, in a same type of thing, you are there to work for you, but you're almost like you're consulting for the company that you work for, right? So as long as you always have the mindset that you're working for you, you're doing this because you love it and it is the value that you bring to the world, the company is hiring you on to do that service for them. So you're still working for yourself, even if you're on a company's payroll. You know what I mean? And that's the mindset I think a lot of people need to break into, is you're still working for yourself, no matter where you are. You're just happen to be doing your services for the company that you're working for.
Yeah.
And same thing.
It's maybe just a little bit unrelated, but I'll bring it up because I had this realization during my job search. So, a lot of people have said before that everyone is in sales, right? Because you have to sell your ideas when you're working at a company. And of course, when you're trying to get a job, you got to sell yourself. Mm-hmm. And again, I really would encourage people in a job search to consider this your project to market and sell yourself. But the other thing I realized too, through this job search, is that everyone is also a product developer. Because throughout your entire career, the product you're going to continually be selling over and over again is yourself. And sure, you have the ability to decide what features yourself comes with, and what skill sets yourself comes with, and what abilities yourself comes with. And similar to how a software marketer might research what's needed, what the market really needs, what businesses have an appetite for, and then go adjust their product so their product now offers that thing. You can do the same thing and say, all right, what do employers need? What do I notice the workforce is lacking of? Is it lacking with people with motivation? Is it lacking of people with emotional intelligence? Is it lacking of people who marry technical skills and sales skills? Figure out what the market's lacking and then build your product to offer those things. Mm-hmm. And once you have that product market fit they talk about, selling becomes really easy. Yep. And in the same way, once you have that product market fit, selling yourself, aka landing a job, becomes very easy. Because truthfully, if you don't have the skill set and personality that the company's looking for, it's going to be really hard to land a job, even if you
Yeah.
are using video and building a brand, right?
Yeah.
But if
Even
you
if you're,
have exactly what the company needs, it becomes really easy to find a
yeah.
job when there's that product market fit.
Right. Even if you're an expert at what the company needs, if you're, if your personality and your relationship skills and your ability to be able to work with those people, or even like your closing skills, suck. And it doesn't matter what you're good at. If you can't work with people and you can't, you know, make people feel good about the services that you're providing for them, then it doesn't matter how great you are at what you do.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody, no matter what it is you do in life, you want to work for yourself, you want to work for somebody else, you want to be a program developer, you want to be a nurse, you want to be a farmer, you want to be anything, you have to still know how to close a sale. You still have to sell your services to the person that you're trying to either, that you're trying to get hired for, by, or sell your services to the world when you're trying to bring your talents or your passions out there. I mean, you could write a book, and if you don't know how to sell, or you don't know how to market, or you don't know how to close a sale or bring that value to the world, no one's going to know about your book.
Yeah.
Same thing with your career. Well, thanks a lot for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a ton for your time. It's been real good talking with you, Alan.
Anytime, man. And if you need anything from me, give me a shout.
Cool. Well, I appreciate everything, Alan.
No problem. Appreciate you, sir.